The title points toward a deeply troubling episode from the year 1847, set on a plantation in Georgia, during a time when slavery created an environment of extreme power imbalance and cruelty. It hints at a secret involving severe abuse of authority, the kind of secret that communities tried to bury because it revealed the darkest side of human behavior. It suggests that the plantation lady held overwhelming control over the enslaved people under her, a control so absolute that it allowed forms of exploitation that were both morally and legally unchecked within the system of slavery. The title implies that she used this power in ways that violated every ethical boundary, leaving long-lasting damage on both individuals and families. The idea of Georgia's hidden secret emphasizes the way such acts were often silenced by society. Plantation owners were rarely held accountable, and any wrongdoing was typically concealed to maintain reputations and economic stability. This secrecy made the suffering of enslaved people even worse, as they had no avenue for justice. The year 1847 places the story in a period when the slave economy was at its height in the American South. During this time, enslaved people were treated as property, and their humanity was routinely denied to justify exploitation. This context explains how extreme abuses could take place without consequences. By calling the woman a plantation lady, the title highlights her respected social status. Women of the plantation elite were often seen as moral guardians of their households, but behind closed doors, some wielded power in ways that contradicted their public image. This contrast adds another layer to the hidden nature of the case. The secret described in the title points to behavior that would have shocked even those living in the 1800s, not just modern audiences. It suggests an act so disturbing that even a society accustomed to slavery would have found it unacceptable if it had been exposed. The phrase hidden secret implies that the truth was intentionally buried, perhaps through family influence, social pressure, or fear of scandal. Plantation households often worked hard to maintain a facade of respectability, even when their private actions were morally corrupt. The emotional impact of such abuse would have been devastating for those forced to endure it. Enslaved people already lived under constant threat of violence, but being subjected to such extreme misuse of power would have created trauma that lasted for generations. The story also reflects how plantation families sometimes misused their authority not only over enslaved people but also within their own households. Power dynamics in these families could be complicated, and silence was often enforced to protect the family's reputation. The title encourages readers to question how many similar secrets might have existed but were never recorded, erased by those who held power and wanted to protect themselves. The historical record is full of gaps created by deliberate silence. It also brings attention to the ways in which slavery corrupted entire social structures, allowing cruelty to flourish because there were no legal or moral safeguards for the oppressed. The plantation system itself enabled such abuses to occur unchecked. The mention of 1847 ties the story to a time when tension around slavery was growing in America, foreshadowing the conflicts that would erupt during the Civil War. Stories like this one reveal the underlying moral crises that fueled the eventual collapse of the slave system. It is also a reminder that history often hides the experiences of victims, especially when those victims belong to marginalized groups whose voices were ignored or suppressed. Recovering these stories is essential to understanding the true human cost of slavery. The darkness behind the title invites reflection on how power, when left unrestrained, can be twisted into something destructive. It also asks readers to consider how society chooses what to remember and what to forget. Ultimately, the title presents a narrative rooted in injustice, secrecy, and the abuse of authority, drawing attention to the painful realities hidden beneath the surface of plantation life. Realities that challenge sanitized versions of history and demand acknowledgement.